Fortunately for us, we all have experience buying some kind of insurance or the other. And buying insurance is the best example of buying a put option. So let's look at what this really means. We buy insurance on many things. We buy insurance on our cars, we buy insurance on our house, we even buy insurance on our life. And whenever we buy insurance, we are basically protecting that asset against a catastrophic fall in value. So let's look at the example of a car and see how, when we buy insurance, it acts as a put option. And of course, when you buy insurance, most people don't even think that they are buying a put option. So it's not really considered, it's not really thought of as buying a put option. What you're really doing is you're buying protection. And so this is something we'll come back to, but let's look at the example of a car. Let's say we have a new car, it costs $20,000. And we wanted to buy insurance for this car. We called up the insurance company. We paid them a premium of $1,000 for 1 year. And the insurance company insures our car for its fair market value as determined by perhaps the Blue Book value. And the car is insured for $20,000. So this is an at-the-money option because the insurance or the strike price is $20,000 and the value of the asset, which is your car, is also $20,000. And in this case, if the value of your car goes down to zero by way of an accident and if it gets totaled, then the insurance company is going to pay you $20,000 for that car because you have protected that car at that strike price of $20,000. So basically what you're doing, even though you get reimbursed $20,000 for the car, the way you have to look at it is you totaled your car, its value has gone down to zero, and you have this totaled car in your hands. But now you have the right to sell this totaled car back to the insurance company for the strike price that you made the contract at, which is $20,000. So by having this insurance, you have the right to sell this asset back to the insurance company at a price of $20,000, which is the strike price. So that's how you have to look at insurance as a put option. It's the right to sell an asset at a certain price. That's it. Now, of course, when you look at insurance and when you look at your car insurance and all of that, there are all kinds of riders, there's deductibles and everything, but we don't want to complicate the situation. If your car gets into an accident, it's protected and you have the right to sell that totaled car to the insurance company for $20,000. So that's a simple way of looking at insurance as a put option. So let's now look at the details of this put option. So you are the buyer, we are the buyer of this put option. We've bought insurance and we have the right to sell this car at a price of $20,000. Now obviously it has to go through an accident and it must be totaled, and there can be any number of rules and regulations, but the principle behind it is we have the right to sell it back at a price of $20,000 if there is a catastrophic drop in the price of the car. And for this right, we paid a premium of $1,000. And the seller has the obligation, so the insurance company has the obligation to buy this car at a strike price of $20,000 from you. The expiry of this option is 1 year. And as you approach expiry, you just renew the contract, and so you get into a new option. If buyer does not exercise their right to sell, then the seller keeps the premium. So we have the insurance and nothing happens to our car. So, which means we cannot exercise our right. And therefore, if we don't exercise our right, the seller keeps the premium. The buyer loses the premium regardless of what happens. And this is exactly the same as the call option. When you buy an option, whether it's a call option or a put option, you're going to pay a premium for that option. And that premium is gone, regardless of whatever happens. That premium is gone, the premium is gone to the seller, and you have to take that premium into your calculations. So now we have a put option that's been created on the underlying asset. The asset is the car. The current price is the $20,000 value of the car. And the strike price is also $20,000. And that's how this is an at-the-money put option. So the one thing you have to, let me just point out here, is that you paid a premium of $1,000 for this right. And the strike price is $20,000. So now, if you strictly wanted to look at this transaction from a financial standpoint, your break-even on this transaction is going to be the $20,000 minus the $1,000. So if the value of your car falls from $20,000 to $19,500, then your put option is not profitable yet because you've already paid, $1,000 as the premium. So anything below $1,000, strictly speaking from a financial standpoint and viewed from the context of this option, the value of the car must go down below 19,000. So that's how your break even becomes the strike price minus the premium. So the strike price is 20,000, the premium is 1,000, and therefore your break even on a put option is going to be the strike price minus premium as opposed to strike price plus premium in the case of a call option. So this part is a little challenging for newcomers to options. Why is the break even in a put option equal to the strike price minus the premium? Why is that? And it takes a little bit of thinking to get around to that concept. But once you go into the Apple options on the real trading platform, hopefully this concept will become much clearer. But for now, you assume that the break even price is going to be the strike price minus the premium. So this is what an at-the-money put option looks like. Now let's cover this aspect of a put option, which is so critical, which is a very key characteristic of put options. So when you bought insurance, you don't think of yourself as buying a put option. You thought of yourself as you protected your asset with insurance. So if your asset loses value, your put option saves you. And how does it save you? You paid $1,000 for that put option. You paid $1,000 as premium for insurance. That $1,000 option, when you had an accident and your car got totaled, the value of that put option immediately went from 1,000 to 20,000. So that's how your put option makes money. As the value of the asset goes down, the value of the put option starts going up. So think of it as a stock now. You own Apple shares. And if you wanted to protect Apple shares, then you would buy a put option at the same strike price as where Apple was trading. And if you bought in equivalent terms, so if you had 100 shares of Apple, you would buy one contract in the options market. And if you did that, and if you bought it at the money, perhaps, the at the money option may not be equal to the share, but if you bought an in the money put option to protect your Apple shares, even if Apple goes down to, from 500, if it goes down to 200 or 100, your put option is going to increase in value from say $20 or $40, whatever you paid for it. It's going to increase up to $300 and $400. And that's how the put option makes money as the stock is going down. And this will become much, much clearer when we look at the real Apple options on the platform. So if structured correctly, puts can protect your stock. Puts will continue to gain in value as long as the stock keeps going down. And puts have a limit. Now, this is another difference between put options and call options. In the case of put options, a stock can only fall to zero. So if you had a put option at the strike price of 500, say for Apple, if you had a put option at the strike price of 500, the maximum Apple can fall is to zero. So the maximum your put option can be worth is $500. If you bought it at $20 or $40, the maximum it can go down, or rather the maximum value of that put option is capped. So although that is a very large amount, but it's still a restriction for put options. Whereas in the case of call options, you truly had unlimited profits on the upside because there's no limit to how much a stock can go up. But in theory, there is a limit to how much a stock can go down. So puts have a limit, but it's a very huge limit. Most stocks never fall to zero. So, really, we're just talking a point of theory here. It never really happens that, stocks fall down to zero. So puts and calls, if you're a buyer of puts and calls, you're set to have an unlimited profit profile. But in the case of a put option, you have to put that small caveat there. It's not truly unlimited. It can only go down to zero. If the stock can only go down to zero, therefore, puts theoretically have a limit on what the value of that put can be. So that's as far as the definition, the real world example of a put option. And in the next lecture, what we're going to do is look at the buyer-seller profiles, and we look at the risk graphs and profit and loss profiles. Thank you.